Chats with mates, chats with mates, chats with mates. Ain't life great? Um, how you doing, Mister Cavian? Cavian?
Cavian, yes.
Cavian Temperley or DJ Temper, as I call you. How are you?
Or as my iPad likes to call me, Cavian Temperley's
Yes.
iPad. That's me.
Yeah.
I'm good. How are you, Joshua?
Yeah, I'm getting there. Swings and roundabouts as it always is. But
Yep.
it's a pleasure to see your delightful face. We haven't been able to hang out for a while, obviously.
No.
Um, So I wanted to talk to you about what's been going on since you've been stuck over in WA. Although the borders aren't reopened between WA and the rest of the country yet.
No, they're thinking about never opening them because we earn so much money over here from mining that they're just like, maybe we'll become a republic. No, I don't know what's going on, but yeah, we're about to be able to play a gig to like 60 people next week, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, because of course Western Australia has been threatening to secede for a couple of 150 years, right?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah. I mean, it
Oh
certainly
look,
feels like another country.
we've got our first viewer commenting. She's a
Oh, look.
sheep. Siobhan, we know Siobhan. Hi, hi, Josh and Cav.
Hi, hi.
There we go.
Sheep.
She's a sheep. Um,
But yeah, exciting stuff in my life. I moved my piano today, which is why I'm sitting in front of it
oh,
because I felt like it deserved a moment. And as you know from my house, there's 27 steps to get up to my house. So moving a piano was not easy. I had to literally take down part of the fence, and then they had to move it like out over this gap and then down a hill around the outside of my house because it was so full on. But then I moved it to my studio, which you would have seen if we had have done that gig that we were planning on doing before we weren't allowed to do
yes,
gigs.
that's right. So we had a gig planned where I was actually going to be over in WA doing a writers festival called the Scribblers Festival. And apart from the other shows that I was going to do in WA, I was going to tack on a little solo show whilst there, and Cavi T was going to play with me. And it was going to be sick.
Man, I was
But
so looking
yeah,
forward to it, and I was thoroughly disappointed for the show, not for the amount of money I was going to get paid, because clearly
I wasn't going to pay you.
I know that's the whole thing when you play with mates. You
It's
don't have
mates
to pay.
rates.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
But
chats
no,
with mates rates.
yeah, I know. I was really looking forward to that show. I had it all planned out in my head. It was going to be great, and then the violins played, and it was all over.
We'll do it. We will do it sometime. But hey, so I usually, because it's chats with mates and it's actually me talking to actual mates. I wanted to people. Some people might not know, but I wanted to tell people how we actually know each other because we are proper mates. Like I told when
We're
I was telling
actual
my
friends. Yeah.
we're actual friends in real life. When I told my kids they were like, because we were watching a nature documentary up in the house
Yeah.
just now, and I was like, I got to go down and do chats with mates, talking to Unky Kev,
Yeah.
Unky Cav. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry about that. I don't call Kev Unky Kev. We call him Mysterious Kev. But anyway, I
Strangely enough,
said
my children call me Kev, and it's everything. I think it's hilarious. I'm not even joking.
that is
But
pretty funny. Anyway, I was like, I'm going down to talk to Unky Cav, and they were like, why do you call your male friends uncle? I was like, I don't call them. I'm not calling him Uncle Cav. I'm calling him Uncle Cav on your behalf. And they're like, but he's not our uncle. It was very difficult to explain, but those who know the nuances of such language know that it means that we're tight, we're bros,
yeah,
right?
that's
Now the
right.
reason we are is because in 2007 you invited me on tour with Eskimo Joe for a huge national tour. It was the biggest shows I'd ever played at that point. And we became buds on that tour. We had some fucking wicked times, and then of course we did Basement Birds together.
Hmm.
And I spent probably about 3 months on and off in Frio,
Mm.
living in your spare room or in your garage. Good times, man. Right?
Yeah,
Am I right?
absolutely. Well, that garage still exists. It's a rental property now, but I still like wake up in the middle of the night and have dreams of creating magic in that jam room because whole albums were recorded there. We did a lot of Eskimo Joe demos in that little jam room. We also did Basement Birds, but I do remember there was a particular moment because Kevin Mitchell, of course, was on tour with one of my friends, Steve Parkin, and they had written a song and like sent it on to us, I think maybe, and we'd gone, oh yeah, cool, all right, game on. And then we drank a bottle of whiskey, I think, in the jam room, and managed to, I think, like write and possibly demo 2
Record.
songs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was Ghost and I can't remember the other one,
Modern
but yeah,
Woman.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the Hey Modern Woman song. But
Hey,
yeah,
modern woman.
that's the one. Yeah. Um, so yes, and we have remained firm friends ever since, which is good. It's a good news story.
But I was reflecting on, because reflecting on how we know each other, and then how we've stayed in touch and everything. And I remembered I'd forgotten this, but I remembered that you and I also spent like ridiculously fun time. I was trying to track down a photo so I could like screen share
Oh,
it
yeah.
in New York. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I've got photos. I do have some photos. I my funniest like memory in like hindsight, because we were just hanging out having a great time. One of the most interesting things was like that we were hanging out and getting drunk, like you do the day before you film a film clip. And I was freaking out because I was saying to you, I don't know how I'm going to do this video clip, because we were doing a video clip to New York.
Oh,
And the
that's
whole
right.
premise, which I'd come up with, so I couldn't back out, was I had all the lyrics to the t-shirt, lyrics printed on these t-shirts that I was taking off, one at a time. But we were playing it backwards, so it looked like I was putting the t-shirts on as I was saying it. But it meant I had to learn the whole entire song backwards. And I was, Stu was, in the band was just like, just learn it, man, it'll be fine. Just learn it phonetically. I was just like, phonetically. And then you came up with a great suggestion that night, and I literally went home and like crammed for my exams, which was that just listen to it backwards and write words that sound like the words backwards. And I was like, that is a genius move. So
Yeah.
I did it, and I kind of half pulled it off, but all the bits where I fucked up, they basically had steam coming out of my mouth, so it looked like it was intentional.
I mean, I like the use of the word genius in relation to me, but I have to admit that I didn't actually. That wasn't my idea. I think I got that from an interview with Snow Patrol or something like that.
Yeah, I think I
Still.
remember you telling me that at the time.
But
My
still,
other- Yeah, my other really good memory of that is that we were plastered, and we ended up like hanging out
yes.
with the greats.
The greats,
who
yeah,
were
yeah.
playing that night. And I didn't really know Patience very well. We of course got to know Patience when we did that Bob Dylan tour.
Bob Dylan thing, yeah.
And she's just such a legend, like absolute supreme human. Anyway, we were there hanging out, and we must look like just a bunch of complete noobs, because we were just like, 'cause we were like really smashed by this stage. And I was trying to get Patience to come over and talk to us, and I was like, come over here. And she was like looking at me going, no, if you want to come and talk to me, you can come over here. I don't know. It's like, she's really rude. She's a bit of a snob, I think. And then anyway, she told us like years and years later that she thought that we were just like, she was like, whoa, check out like the hardcore rock and roll, like, Eskimo Joe and Josh Pyke dudes, thinking that for some reason we have this kind of white bread image, and that we see, when she met us in the flesh, we seem so much more hardcore.
I remember that. I remember that because they were playing at the Bowery Ballroom on a showcase for CMJ. It was,
Yeah.
and they put on a fucking amazing show. It was one of those weird music conferences. So there was like a really weird patchy crowd. It was meant to be for Oz Music or whatever. So there wasn't many people there, but they put on an amazing show where she like jumped down out of off stage. She was wearing a big puffy like sort of tutu, and she was dancing. I knew the Greats music well, but I hadn't met them. Neither of us had met them. I was like, wow, these guys are amazing. And my memory of it is that we'd been out for quite some time, but my memory of it is that you and I were both like, this is amazing, Australian band playing in New York, this is so cool. And so we came across as like being like, I guess, aggressively enthusiastic about how good it was. And in retrospect, I can see how like two like sweaty drunk Aussies going like, amazing, you guys are amazing. Like, we were experiencing like what we were being what perhaps we have experienced sometimes at festivals and stuff like that, when you get the sweaty men coming up and
idiots
and hugging you. But yeah, as you say, then we became good mates with Patience later when we did the Dylan tribute thing. And she told me that she thought we were like like hardcore coke dudes, coke addicts.
That was the most hilarious thing about it, because I think we thought, we were like, oh yeah, Patience is definitely on drugs, and then she's looking at us going, oh, these guys are definitely on drugs. None of us were on drugs.
Nobody was.
Because we're Australians, and A, we can't afford drugs, and B, like, we're just, not those kinds of people. So
Yeah, no, never. But it was a great time, and I also remember I have a great photo, and I wish I could have dug it out before this to do a screen share. Maybe I'll try and find it and post it tomorrow. But it was a photo of you and me, because it was Halloween as well, and
That's
you
right, yeah.
you were wearing like a sick like skeleton costume or something that you had from somewhere.
That was just coincidence, because that was my like style at the time. So
Oh yeah, that's right. It was black fingernails. That's right.
yeah.
But I remember we went out to some like tiki bar, and we went in, and you were dressed in this skeleton outfit. It was anyway. It was a great time.
Well,
And then, do you remember? Then we were walking home, and we stopped at a crepe joint,
yes,
and you ran into a girl that you went to high school with randomly.
yes, that's right. Oh my god, that was crazy. And then oh my god, I totally forgot about that part of it. I remembered the crepe more than running into the girl from high school.
Well, you know what was also weird. So I was over there. The reason I was there, you were there shooting a film clip, and I was there mixing Memories and Dust
Right.
with this really famous producer called Michael Brower, who had this cool studio in Times Square. So like every day I'd go to Times Square and go up in the lift to his studio. But I was staying with one of the Andys from Ivy League Records, and he was subletting an apartment from Molly Ringwald. So I was crashing on Molly Ringwald's couch. She wasn't there, obviously. I was staying with Andy, but there was like a couple of like photos and stuff around the place. I was like, that's Molly Ringwald. And then I asked him, he was like, oh yeah, we don't really talk about it. We're renting this off Molly Ringwald.
That's so good.
Good times. And then I remember another time we were in London together. I was touring in London.
Yep.
And then you were playing at Coco, I think, which is a great venue.
Yeah.
And we caught up at the after party. Anyway, good times, my friend.
Good times, very good times. I also remember another slightly drug-related story to do with you and London.
Yes.
we played this show at this like little kind of bunker thing, and it was an acoustic show. And there was a poster for yourself who was possibly playing there. And I said to my English friends, I was like, oh, look, there's my mate Josh Pyke. And they were like, you know him? And they got really excited. I'm like, he's pretty big in Australia. Like, I guess he's doing well here too. Like,
not for the reasons you thought.
You don't understand. This one night, so this guy and his friend were like, this one night we were like really wanted to do a line of cocaine, and we had nothing to do it off. So we ripped this poster from the wall, which just happened to be a Josh Pyke poster, and then did our lines of Charlie off the poster. And then afterwards, the code word for any time you wanted to have a line was like, do you want to do a little bit of Josh Pyke?
Yeah. And do you know what's bizarre? Like, I told the Boy and Bear guys that story, and they had a separate group of British friends who also had that as the code word.
What?
None of these people knew my music. None of them knew my music. I didn't know that I was a musician or anything. They just had this code word for cocaine, for going to duck off and do cocaine.
You know that you've made it when you enter the world of Cockney slang. It's like, it doesn't even matter what you're about. Like a little bit of Josh Pyke.
A little bit of Josh Pyke, mate. All right.
Yeah,
hey, fancy a little bit of Josh Pyke? All right. All right. Me old chestnut. Is that what they say? I think so.
Something like that, yeah.
Hey, so obviously those days I was, I got to know you through Eskimo Joe. Since obviously Eski's still going strong, but you've also launched a solo career.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like being a solo artist, but I don't really know what it's like being in a big. I mean, I've been in bands, but I don't know what it's been like being in a big band, particularly one that's been around for 20 years, where you like lived in each other's pockets and everything. Tell me the big difference, or how you find it, the things you miss, the things you like.
Well, I mean, on a creative front, there's something really refreshing about finding an idea and following it through in a linear way. So you get to take your time with an idea and arrive at a place that's uniquely just you, and you feel really great and invested in that idea. But along the way, if you then go record a record, you're suddenly like, oh man, wouldn't it be nice if someone could play the drums? Or now I've got to write the guitar part and the string part and the piano part. And that's, quite a nice workout for the brain, but it can also be amazing when you're in a band and you have a song and somebody else grabs it and takes it to a place that you never thought that was ever going to go. And you look back and you're like, that's better. That's actually a better place. And same with when you go to record a record, you have all these other guys who've got great skills who can come in and, they've been thinking about a string part or a piano part and they're like, oh, I've got this idea, and they put it down. You're like, wow, amazing. Sometimes it ends up at a place that doesn't really make that song feel like it's as sacred to you anymore. Like you're not as invested. But often if you let them, they'll take that song to a better place. As far as being on the road goes, it's also really nice because you can just wake up and kind of go, I think I want to leave now. I think I want to eat there. Because touring with a band is kind of like touring with toddlers. They're like, someone needs to go to the toilet, someone's hungry, someone's tired because they didn't sleep last night. But it can also be really fun because everywhere you go, you've got people to hang out with. So there's this kind of continuous thing going on.
Yeah, I think it's a funny thing. Oh, hang on, I just want to address something quickly. We have a comment from Alicia B saying, "You have a delay. Do you have multiple windows open?" It's not that, Alicia. It's because Kav Temperley has a PA playing my voice in his studio, so it's coming back through his microphone.
Would you like me to turn that right down so there's no delays going on? Probably a good idea.
That would be prudent, my friend. That would be prudent. Thank you. Let's see if this fixes the tech issue.
I can still hear you. You're not quite as loud and glorious in my ears, but
we can still hear a slight echo? Yes, we can, but it's fine. It's not too bad. I think the funny thing about being a solo artist that everyone assumes is that you do have ultimate creative control, but it's so collaborative. It's always collaborative, whether or not you're literally recording, whether or not you might write the songs by yourself, you might do the demos by yourself, but any kind of creativity, as soon as it kind of leaves your actual head, it becomes a collaborative process, even if it's talking to management, talking to labels, talking to publishers, when you start to tour, talking to, booking agents. It's a massively collaborative experience, even if you are a solo artist. It's always going to be different from being in a band.
You're Lenny Kravitz.
That's true. Or the late Prince.
Yeah. Apparently, they write, record, do the artwork, play all the instruments, and there's, often one person who wants to buy that record. Their name's
Who's
Lenny
that?
Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz.
Yes.
He's a pretty popular artist. I think one person that might be.
I love the first two Lenny Kravitz records. There's some really cheesy moments on it, but the production and the songwriting is still pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I gotta say, I dig a bit of Lenny.
Yeah,
I don't mind him.
I'll crank Mama Said when I'm doing the dishes and I want to sing along.
Do you know he's got a interior design firm now? That's one of the other things that he does.
Wow.
Now, that was an incredible bit of podcasting segue.
That was. You didn't even Google it over here.
Well, it may or may not be true as well. But in terms of a segue, I wanted to talk about the other things that you do.
Oh, yeah.
Because something that you and I have collaborated on and you've been doing a lot of is podcasting, right?
Yeah.
Which is a bloody great thing to get into. I'm in the process of trying to get a couple of podcasts that I've had, that I've dreamed up for a while, going properly. Hang on. Now we've got Ben Ovenden says, Josh is louder than Kav.
Oh, Josh.
That's fine with me.
Would you like me to speak louder?
Well, can you turn your microphone up?
I can probably turn it up. It's probably pretty crank in there, but let me just do this. This is what you get with live television. Let's go a little bit of this guy here on the vocal. How's this?
Yeah, that is actually a lot better. That's great. Thanks, Ben.
We need a community of people coming together to make this happen.
Oh, you can't see that. You can't see the comments coming up, can you?
No.
That actually does sound way better. Thank you, Ben. Now I feel like it's pretty even now. So thank you.
Great. Excellent.
So podcasting, you have this. You actually have a podcast production company, right?
Well, yeah, we do. We've got our flagship podcast, which is Hat Jam, which you have participated in, and that's really fun. Lots of work. But just so rewarding. But then we have a podcast company where we do podcasts for other people, and they're generally pretty dry, educational podcasts and stuff. But, just an amazing thing to get into because, with the ones I do for other people, they generally give me a pretty broad spectrum of like, we just want something that tells our story. So often I'll just interview all these different people, and then out of those interviews, I'll find a story arc and piece it all together, put some theme music in there, and then away you go. With Hat Jam, it's a different thing, because the really exciting thing about the world of podcasting is, yes, there's these interview-based podcasts where people just talk. That's nothing new. But there's also all these kind of other podcasts that are coming out that are just like brand new ideas, like it's things that people haven't really done before, because there's something so lo-fi and do it yourself about the whole podcast world.
It's so attainable, isn't it? Like it's any.
Yeah.
I mean, if you wanted to, anybody could do a pod. I have an app on my phone. I can't remember what it's called, but it's literally a podcast making app, and it has preset EQ functions in it. So you could record a podcast on your phone and upload it straight to an aggregator, and you're done.
Yeah, away you go. But it's all in the idea. I mean, my favorite podcasts are probably ones that come from more of a journalistic background, where they actually investigate a story and they arrive somewhere. What we're doing with Hat Jam is, I mean, you would know this, but for people who are watching, it's like a songwriting game that I basically sit down and I go into people's different jam rooms around the world and Australia, and we pull names out of a hat, and those names give us these suggestions of how we're going to write our song. And it's always a really uncomfortable, but then funny, but then amazing experience. All the songs that have came out have been really, really great. But there's something really amusing when you put musicians in these really strict parameters, because suddenly they can't do it. Sorry?
Yeah. We're not used to it. It's not.
Oh, we hate it. We always hate it, because we've spent all this time coming up with our own formula of how we do these things, and then suddenly someone's going, "No, you're not allowed to do those things," and you can see people go through it. But the great thing about the Hat Jam podcast is no one takes it seriously, because they're just it's just fun. And then at the very end, we have this song, and the songs are always quite profound and beautiful.
I think that's the great thing about art, is like it always comes down to the interpretation of the art after the fact. So it's like the one that you and I did. I can't remember exactly the parameters, but one of them was James Brown was the artist, which is not that's not in my normal.
That's
wheelhouse.
A tough one, man. It was James Brown, and what was the other one? It was ELO Living Thing.
Yes.
And I thought the Living Thing would be that would be great, because it's just such a musical song. But you were like, no, I've never listened to ELO. I'm not really much of a fan. I was like, oh, I know so many people who would lose their mind over this, but and then you had got James Brown. And if to anyone watching, if they want to hear the funniest thing ever, just listen to Josh's initial take on trying to write a James Brown song. It was pretty funny. Because I should probably let people know that the names we pull out of the hats are the names of a song and an artist. So Josh pulled out, James Brown's Sex Machine, and we had to write a verse in the vein of James Brown's Sex Machine. Yeah. So there's been some pretty funny ones in there, and just ended up at very random places. But I did my first COVID special with Dallas Frasca, and that was amazing as well. But a bit of a different process, not being in the same room as someone.
Yeah, it's kind of you really. I mean, we were sitting here in my studio where I am now.
I know it well.
You know it well.
Yes, I slept there a few nights until I became a house cav instead, and I was allowed to sleep in the house.
Yes, well,
that was exciting.
We we actually. So I had a couch. This is a bit of a transgression. No, whatever.
Yeah. We'll call it a sidebar.
Yeah, I had a couch down here. And my tour manager Dave would always stay in the shed or in the studio when we were touring, and we had Sydney shows, because he was from Queensland, and so he stayed down here. Never a complaint. Slept on this futon thing, and then
I know where you're going with this.
You stayed and you were staying for like a few days or something, and the next day I was like, "Oh, how's the bed?" And you're like, "It was a bit hard. It was actually a bit hard." So I went out and I bought a mattress topper for you from Clark's Rubber, and the next day you were out doing something, and then I lined the futon with a mattress topper, and we've always called it Kavi T's mattress topper ever since. So
there you go.
And subsequent guests have probably thanked you for that.
Possibly, yes. Well, that was very, very gracious hosting to do. So thank you.
But I wanted to say also with the Hat Jam thing, there's been some unusual things that have come out of it, or not unusual, I guess, but like one of the songs that you did with Sarah McLeod actually ended up as a single, right? Which is not
Yeah.
necessarily what you're expecting to come out of the whole thing, but that's kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, the whole thing is just, again, the whole, there was no grand plan about where this was all going to end up. All I wanted to do was create a situation where, people were creating in a really interesting and different way, and maybe through that we'd get this left of center look on how people create. But yeah, Sarah got the song and she loved it and was like, I want to record it as a single, and she had this whole tour campaign around it, and it was a picture of her looking really badass in just a pair of underpants with her hand down the front of her underpants, and it was called because the song's called "Killing It Till I'm Dead," which is just a funny title in itself.
It is. That's good.
And yeah, and she was about to do the whole thing, and then the COVID thing happened, so
Oh, man.
she didn't get to do it at all. But she was one of the first people I saw to really get into the streaming thing, because she was like, "Screw this! I really want to play this show," and so she got to do it, for a bunch of
And
fans.
I think from memory, she started a Patreon
Yeah.
kind of thing at that point as well. So, I mean, we can't. It'd be remiss of us not to talk about the COVID thing and how it's. I mean, everybody knows how it's affected me. I've spoken about how I had to cancel or postpone, 6 months of touring. I know that you were in LA just before it kind of all went to shit. But how
Yeah.
did it affect your personal plans looking ahead for the rest of this year?
Well, we were in LA and we had just recorded an episode of Hat Jam, and we had made all these contacts there, and everyone was like, yeah, can't, and we were planning on going back a couple, like in about 4 to 6 weeks later, and following up with all this stuff. But we had a really funny situation with a friend of ours who was going through some really tough times. So we didn't end up going out and doing anything at all. We just, like, they had a recording studio in the bottom of their house as well. So I was like, why would I go anywhere?
Why would you go? Yeah.
And so we ended up just hanging out with them a lot. And it was quite lucky because no one was talking about the COVID thing when we were there. And when we got back, of course, 2 weeks later, everything shut down. And we were like, oh my God, we've just escaped this kind of zone where so many people have it, and then we're back in Western Australia, which is like the most isolated capital city in the world. And of course, the follow-on for that, after we were like, holy crap, all the borders have closed down, and we were just in a really full-on place, was that, yeah, same with yourself, all of our gigs and shows got postponed or cancelled. But not only that, for us, we had been building up. We were going to do a massive tour, which was Black Fingernails and A Song's a City back to back.
Oh,
We
wow.
had to postpone that whole thing, but luckily we had a few little tricks in our back pocket, which I won't say too much about. But in 3 weeks' time, you might find out. So
Oh, cool.
I won't tell you what that is. It's a song.
No, that sounds good though. So that's something positive though. It's good to hear
But
something.
yeah, we were just really lucky that we managed to flip this whole thing around. Like, we had these massive plans of touring, and then we just had something else in our back pocket that we're like, okay, we were going to do that at the end of the year. Let's just do that now. So it's ended up being quite a positive thing for that.
I think it's the arts in general and the music industry. We have traditionally coped pretty well with massive disruption. I think it's kind of been highlighted a lot during this period, that where a lot of artists are pivoting and finding new ways to do stuff, new ways to communicate. Yeah, I mean, I still find it the main thing for me about this whole thing is like I'm, as you know, releasing music during this period.
Yeah.
I've done 3 songs and have released the album for pre-orders, and it's going great in terms of I feel so bloody fortunate to have an amazing core fan base. All of that is great and positive, but it really has highlighted how important live touring is to an artist, not just financially, but just like I'm not even saying it's necessarily a positive thing as a person, but it highlights to me like how much my soul needs that kind of instant gratification of
It's not
playing
just
to a live
it's
audience.
you could, that's a really simplistic way of saying it, but like we I was meant to do one of the shows I was meant to do was a private function, and it was like some guy's 40th birthday, and they were paying us decent money to come along, and there was going to be a PA and a light show. It was a private party basically, and anyway, he was pretty disappointed because that whole thing got shut down. We were pretty disappointed because we were looking forward to spending his hard-earned money, but. But then at the last minute, his wife rang us up and said, "Oh, I don't know there's 30 of us here. Is there any chance you could just come along and play a couple of songs just acoustically?" And I thought, whatever. Yep, that sounds cool. Let's just do that. And I went along and I was playing it, and there was like 25 people there, but something inside of me just came to life. And I just remembered, I was like, this is what I do.
This is what you do, yeah.
There's a really big reason. I mean, yes, the songwriting and the gigs become a business, and the songs you take really seriously because you want them to do what they do. But just the simple act of performing and singing your songs, and just that place that you tap into in yourself, if you are that person, is magical. Yeah. And as soon as you go there again, it's just, it was refreshing to be reminded how important that is to my soul.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I took 2 years off touring, and so I was like fully fired up to be touring again.
Yeah,
and then I couldn't.
Yeah. But this is my year.
Yeah, this is it. But I did one of these delivered live sets last week, and even doing that, it was in front of an empty studio audience or whatever. It was like the camera crew basically, and a couple of techs. But even that, just the feeling of performing to that many people and interacting, and like I was trying to interact with the camera and stuff like that, and it just filled it, as you say, it filled something in me that I wouldn't have even necessarily realized was missing until I did it again. And it's made me realize how important it is for me as a person. And as I say, I'm not necessarily sure that that's a good or healthy thing, that I need that so much in my life. I mean, that's a whole other
healthy. I mean, absolutely. There's so many people who, they don't feel all of those emotions on a regular basis, and they need someone singing in front of them who is feeling it for them to feel it. So, there's that one side of it that, yes, you need those accolades, and that's an important reason why you do what you do. But there's also that thing of like, it's an important role that we fill, for people. And without that, they don't get that exchange.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, I think I've mentioned this before, potentially in these chats, but I've definitely mentioned it to you. Is like, I get this feeling, and I call it the madness, right? It's whenever I'm really lost in that creative moment, whether it's playing live or writing a song or demoing a song, I call it the madness because I'm basically like, I feel like I'm manic, but it is the most beautiful feeling to be fully engaged with my kind of emotional rawness in that state. And it's something I just like, I think more people need to feel it, like I think, and as you say, that's potentially what other people get from engaging in other people.
I think people do feel it by watching you and feeling you do it, because that's why they keep coming back to gigs. They're like that. True. And everybody knows when they go to a gig and some magical moment happens, and everyone's like, oh my God, they're really feeling it this time.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, we're performers, but we're also punters, and we love music. And I did this Double J in residence thing where the whole theme of it was my love of live music and sort of sharing songs that reminded me of live experiences. And there have been times that it's just gotten me through so many things. And one of the times that I mentioned on this Double J thing was I was in New York, and it was my oldest son was 4 months old at the time, and I needed to finish writing the record. It was Only Sparrows, and I had this baby, and it was full on. I couldn't write. I wanted to get away, and I was like, I'm going to go to a caravan on the Central Coast for a weekend to finish the writing of this record. And my wife, bless her, she was like, don't go to that. Like, don't go to the Central Coast. Go to New York or something. The label's going to pay for it. Like, go to New York. I was like, really? Are you sure? And she's like, yes, but like, you need to do it. Anyway, so I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. Anyway, it turned out to be the worst decision I've ever made. It was, we didn't know. Neither of us knew at that point. We were such new parents. Neither of us knew just how much we'd been sort of relying on each other, not only emotionally and physically, but just like also becoming addicted to this baby, and
not wanting to miss a moment.
No, so it was horrible. It was a horrible time. Like I was so sad over there. But the thing that got me through was I went to see live comedy about 5 times. The apartment that I was staying at was just around the corner from the Comedy Cellar, and I went there about 5 times, to the point where the regular MC, was like heckling me and pointing me out and going like, this guy's back again. Oh, look at this guy sitting by himself.
So comedy is literally your happy place.
I think so. I mean, it is. But I also went to see this amazing show, which was Juliana Hatfield and Evan Dando playing together on stage together in Brooklyn, and it was just me up the back watching the show. But it really was just, I guess, like seeing performance from the other side of the stage. I probably miss that as much as I do performing as well. I'd
like to point out at this point in time that, ladies and gentlemen who are watching, Josh, for his 40th birthday, wrote an email to everyone and said, "I'm having my 40th birthday. Want you all to come." I was in Perth, obviously, but everyone has to prepare a stand-up comedy routine. And like that's like my worst nightmare, going up on stage, but not yours. That is your dream, to like maybe have like a side, gig in stand-up comedy. And we didn't end up being able to make it over because myself and Beth have four children, and it can be very complex sometimes. But our plan was like all we could come up with. The only thing that we thought might work was telling the story of yourself and Sarah in liturgical dance. So like doing a dance that told a story. That was our plan. But we never made it. And then Sarah actually sent an email out to everyone saying, guys, don't listen to Pyke. You don't have to do a stand-up routine.
But a lot of people did. And you know who did the funniest one, and who actually, because on that night, one of my sons made like a painting, which was going to be the prize. He was like, he was 5 at the time, I think. And so the person that won, and he still got the painting, was Stav from Blue Juice. So so the party was going. I was up there, like, doing my stupid stand-up comedy. My drummer did a great routine. My drummer, Russell, my goodness, who's just released a great song, by the way, that I produced right here in the studio.
Oh,
Russell,
nice one. He's great, Russell.
He's a legend. But so Russell had done a great performance, and I was up chatting. And then this strange man came into my backyard where the party was, wearing what would you call it? Almost like a kimono, I guess. What's the male version of a kimono? And he walked down, and so Stav is a Greek gentleman, by origin or whatever, by birth. And he came down, and he had taken on this weird persona, and he didn't break character. And he just walks up and kind of like barges his way on stage onto the back deck, wearing this kimono, and grabs the mic and spoke in this like Greek accent for the whole time, and did this 5-minute stand-up routine without breaking character. And I hadn't seen him at the party before. He just walked up onto the deck and did it. So he was the best, and he won straight away. It was good.
Wow.
But, good on him. Good on him.
So he went full Andy Kaufman.
Yes, he did. Yeah. But I've got to say, I do love comedy. I think there's something about the fact that you go to comedy primed to laugh that makes it amazing. Funny. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, even if it's shit, it's funny. You know what I mean? Because you're primed to laugh. Anyway, speaking of performance, we've got about 15 minutes left or so.
Yeah.
I would love to hear a song from you.
We were going to do this whole dog and pony routine where I was going to tell you what the song is beforehand, and then you were going to like be really surprised when I told you what the song was.
Yeah. Or what is the song? You haven't told me.
I don't know. I actually haven't decided. Hang
on. Can we get some requests from the?
That's a good idea. I don't know how in tune my guitar is, but let's get a request from the audience. And if anyone puts Black Fingers Red Wine, that's just boring. Come on, you can. I think I've
got you a gig as well. Look, Sarah Pond.
Oh my God, I'm turning 40 in November. What do you reckon, Kav? Sure.
And then she says, "Don't think it's my party budget, though."
Oh well, no then.
Okay, so and then somebody else says, while you're tuning up, I met Stav once at the ANU bar. Dude is hilarious.
Dude is hilarious.
It's true, CJ Perry. It is true. Okay, so here's my requests from the sea. That is a great, or Queen of My Heart.
Queen of My Heart's good. Let's because then we can do like a solo number, which is Feels good.
Okay,
See,
great. There you go, Sarah Pond. You win the competition.
I'm staving. Is that what she said?
She said, she's starting to save for the party. There you go.
Oh, okay, yeah, good. All right, cool. This can
It's
be some
$1
motivation.
million. All right, here we go.
This is our experiment. We don't know how this is going to sound, but this is for Sarah Pond on her 40th birthday. I'm tired. I'm tired of these things. Tired of these walls that hold me within. When I don't even know who I am. And I take anything I want. Anything I need to think that I'm free. Well, come hold a mirror to me. And I've been waiting so long just to find out who you are. You're the queen of my heart. The queen of my heart. Hey! And I try to see in the dark and dance through the night, forget all this pain, and drown like a river in rain. And I break out of these chains, out of this cross that hangs from my neck. We only remember regret. And I've been waiting so long just to find out who you are. You're the queen of my heart. 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 You were the dream. Oh, Mary Magdalene, a queen, a heart of gold. You're the queen of my heart. 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 Oh, the queen of my heart. The queen of my heart.
Yeah!
Thank you, Josh Pyke, for letting me do some performance in this much-needed time of no performance.
That was great, man. The sound was probably the best sound we've had on Chats with Mates.
Probably should have tuned my guitar then.
Well, can I ask you though, when was the last time you played that song?
Good question. What I've been doing is I've been doing a thing from my studio called Live from the Moon. And we've got this moon that we got built when myself and my wife Beth got married, and it just became a really good prop. So I've been doing these kind of posts pretending during the lockdown that I was actually on the moon. And one of the first ones that I did, I was kind of doing one for Eskies and one for my own socials, which can be confusing. And one of the first ones I did for my own socials was Queen of My Heart. So yeah,
but it's been a while though, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Like, there's no way. Like, if somebody just requested a song, I just can't. I can only keep about 20 songs in my brain at any one time. But I've always admired people that can like get around a campfire at a party and bust out like endless covers and stuff like that. I can never do
I
that.
think campfires is the only thing that totally blanks me. If someone's like, we're sitting in this perfect scenario and the fire's going, and someone like go, "Oh, this was a guitar that my grandfather got during the war, and it's never been played, and it's in perfect tune," and they hand it to me, and they're like, "Can you play something?" And I'm like, "Ooh, what songs do I know?" Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's like when somebody asks you to tell a joke, right? I can never remember jokes. There's no chance. All right, I'm going to play a song. We've got a little
That would
bit
be lovely. I'd love to hear you play a song, Josh.
And I'm just going to tell you which song I'm going to play as well. And I'm going to play a song which is, look, Sarah Pond says, "Love those moon posts."
Oh, good.
It's nice when you find out that you're not, yelling into a void.
People are actually listening, yeah.
I'm going to play my new song "Home" because, I want to promote that song. I want to promote it. I want it to be a hit. I want it to reach.
Do you know what I'm going to do for the listeners at home? I'm going to mute myself so there's no bad sounds coming back.
That is so thoughtful of you. Are you actually muted? Let's see if just say something. Yeah, you're muted. You are legit muted. All right, here we go. This is a song called "Home." Home, find a patch of sun. Listen to them talking about the days to come, like they know something of the way those days are gonna run. Home, find a place to lie. Feel the earth that's spinning underneath you. We are all held tight with gravity. We are all bound to collide. So think of me sometimes when you're out beyond the breakers. I wish you open eyes, 'cause I'm asleep till you get home. And home, there's never been a place. It's always been the scene where hearts will break and mend and light like lace on sleeping faces. Oh, my love awaits. So think of me sometimes when you're out beyond the breakers. I wish you open eyes, 'cause I'm asleep till you get home. So please don't kill your time thinking about those ones you leave behind. We'll race to break like waves upon some shore I'll never see. Nothing ever stays the same. So hold the way your heart is beating down. So think of me sometimes when you're out beyond the breakers. I wish you open eyes, 'cause I'm asleep till you get home. Yeah, I'm asleep till you get home. Yeah, I'm asleep till you get home. Home. to patch your son. Listen to them talking about the days to come, like they know something of the way those days are gonna run.
Yay! I know I'm aware that there's other people listening, but it's nice to feel like I'm getting a private performance. I don't know if you saw me looking dreamily into the.
You were. It was really distracting. Actually, it was like, wow, this guy's really enjoying this. June,
look,
thank you.
Sabrina liked it.
Applause. Yep. Okay. Great. Great. Love it. Great song from Ben Ovenden, our tech advisor from earlier.
Great.
So that's great. This is great. But I do want to say quickly, just because I have a captured audience now, it is lovely, despite not being able to play, as I'm sure you've experienced as well, with this streaming stuff. I do feel like it's probably something that I'll continue to a certain degree.
Yeah.
After. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely going to look at it as a more realistic thing. I think what all of the musicians had to get their head around to starters is, we're so used to going out and rehearsing for months and then getting a lighting show and a PA and doing a sound check and, putting a show together. That's still going to exist and that's still going to be awesome and worth paying money for. There's something really nice about the do-it-yourself nature of these streaming things. It's like, it's not meant to sound amazing. It's not meant to look amazing, but you get this real window into, we're looking into yours and my studio. People don't generally get those insights. I think that's super cool.
And it kind of brings it back to the vibe of when you started, where you were just like, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Like you'd be out there playing gigs with people, starting bands with people. If you wanted to, releasing demos on Facebook, you know what I mean? Like there was a lot less kind of. It was very authentic because you were just seeing what works. It kind of has felt like it's gone back to that a little bit, and I think positive things will come out of that creatively for sure.
Yes.
But why are musicians now radio hosts and journalists?
Because we have no choice.
We can do it all.
Well,
now, sorry.
I was about to say it's a very good point. I mean, we're now actually. What's required of us is to kind of be Renaissance men. We have to be able to film ourselves, work the film, program, and then record ourselves, and then work the recording program, and then be a social media guru as well as actually just writing the songs and being awesome. So
probably still wouldn't be able to apply for a job in marketing though. I don't reckon.
No, I'm pretty sure we're generally qualified for McDonald's still at the moment, but that's cool.
So we're going to wrap it up now-ish. Before we go, though, I always ask my many guests on JPTV Chats with Mates.
JPTV.
It's my TV station. It pretty much is, right? Like, there's no one. It's not on TV, but you could stream this to your TV, and then it would be a TV show, right? Technically, yeah.
Well, I guess so. I would probably watch it if it was JPTV does beards. Just a show you do just on beards.
It's getting pretty good at the moment, isn't it?
It's looking lush.
I'm
like a thick forest.
As long as my hair.
I reckon keep growing the hair, man. Let your freak flag fly. What all the kids are doing now is it's back to that kind of grunge thing where they've just got these bell
straight
style.
up. Yeah. That's cool.
I could see you with that.
I might grow my beard long and then weave my hair into my beard. So it's just almost like a mask of some sort, or a
just
helmet.
One dreadlock that starts on your head and just continues round to your beard. Yeah.
Also nice.
What's that show?
Oh yes, so this is true. Sarah Pond says same for the journalists. They also have to take video and record sound. Now that's a great point.
Very good point.
I remember it was probably 3-4 years ago. I was doing an interview with Kath McCabe, who you and I both know well and writes for the telly, and she was saying that when she first started, she had somebody that would specifically write her headlines and would do the photos, and but now they edit everything themselves. They write their own headlines, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's actually a separate skill. Yeah. And they're often recording it themselves and doing a leader. So you're absolutely right. Everybody's
so maybe.
Sorry,
I was about to say maybe one of the positives is everyone's had to kind of upskill during this time.
it's never a bad thing, is it? Sharpen the sword, as they say. But yeah, so everyone has been writing a quick theme song for Chats with Mates. Saya Vogel, who is also a mutual friend of ours, has written probably the best one. It was in German, so I mean, I don't think I can top that. But let's, I haven't. This is the first time I mentioned this to you. Let's see what you got.
Okay. Okay. Right now. Okay.
Cool. Literally right now, man. You can play it on the piano. You can play it on the guitar.
So this is my theme song for Chats with Mates that I wrote as I'm playing it.
As you're playing it, that's it.
It possibly goes like this: Chats with mates.
That's good.
Chats with mates. Chats with mates. Chats with mates. Can I have a chat with you? 'Cause you are my mate. For reals.
For reals. Oh man, that's actually really good. The way you like the chord progression, I just wasn't expecting that. It's really good. I mean, that's really good. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, now we've got a good night. Cav and Josh, thanks again for another awesome chats. Good night, everybody. Good night, Australia. Good night, Cav.
Good night to you, Josh.
Thanks for joining me, and thanks to everybody for joining me around the country on Chats with Mates. And we're going to join us next time down the line. I don't know when. Haven't lined up any guests, but that's the ad hoc nature of this thing. Good night, and I'd say God bless, but I'm an atheist, so good night.